if we wanted to know not only what people are or what horses are, but also which of them are runners and which not? Then would the many still be capable of teaching this?
Of course not.
And do you have adequate proof that they neither know nor are proficient teachers of these things, since they do not agree themselves about them?
I do.
But what if we wanted to know not only what people are, but which are healthy or diseased? Then would the many be adequate teachers for us?
Of course not.
And would you have proof that they are bad teachers of these things if you saw them differing?
I would.
But what then? Now about just and unjust people and business, do the many seem to you to agree on these themselves or with each other?
Not in the least by God, Socrates.
But what? Do they differ very much about these?
Much.
Then I think you never yet saw nor heard people differing so seriously about health and lack of it, so as to fight because of these things and kill each other.
Of course not.
But about justice and injustice I know that, even if you have not seen it, you have heard at any rate from many others, and Homer, for you have heard both the Odyssey and the Iliad.
Most certainly, Socrates.
Then are these poems about a difference of just and unjust?
Yes.
And the battles and the deaths occurred because of this difference between the Achaeans and the other Trojans, and between the suitors of Penelope and Odysseus.
You speak the truth.
And I think also at Tanagra, when Athenians and Lacedaemonians and Boeotians died, and later at Coronea, in which also your father met his end. And concerning the former, no other difference than about the just and unjust produced the deaths and the battles, did it not?
You speak the truth.
So are we to say these are knowledgeable about what they differ on so seriously, so as to go opposing each other to the very last extremity?
It does not appear so.
Then are you referring to such teachers whom you admit yourself do not know?
It is likely.
So how is it likely that you know the just and the unjust, about which you go astray so, and appear not to have learned from anyone, nor discovered yourself?
From what you are saying, it is not likely.
Here again do you see how you are not speaking beautifully, Alcibiades?
In what?
In that you are saying it is me speaking these things.
But what? Are you not speaking how I do not know about the just and unjust?
Definitely not.
But am I?
Yes.
How so?
Here is a way. If I ask you between the one and the two, which is more, will you not say that it is the two?
I shall.
By how much?
By one.
So which of us is saying that two is more than one?
I am.
Then I was asking, and you were answering.
Yes.
So do I, the one questioning, appear to be the one speaking about these things, or you, the one answering?
I.
But what if I ask what are the letters of Socrates, and you should say, which is the one speaking?
I.
Come now, in a word, say, when asking and answering is occurring, which is the one speaking, the one asking or the one answering?
The one answering, it seems to me, Socrates.
Then so far through all the argument was I the one asking,
Yes.
and you the one answering.
Certainly.
So what then? Which of us has spoken what has been said?
I appear to have, Socrates, out of what I admitted.
Then was it said about justice and injustice that Alcibiades, the fair son of Cleinias, did not know, but thought he did, and was about to go into the assembly to advise Athenians about what he does not know? Was this not so?
It appears so.
Then it follows, Alcibiades, something of Euripides, that you are in danger of your having heard it not from me. I am not the one speaking these things, but you, and you blame me in vain. And yet you also speak well. For mad is the scheme you have in mind to attempt, best one, to teach what you do not know, having neglected to learn it.
I think, Socrates, rarely are the Athenians advised and the other Greeks, which is more just or more unjust, for such things they believe are obvious. So passing over these, they consider which will be advantageous in practice. For these, I think, are not the same, the just and the advantageous, but many really profited by committing great wrongs, and others, I think, doing just actions gain no advantage.
But what, if the just happens to be quite another thing, and the advantageous different? You don't think you know these things, which are advantageous for the people, and why?
For what is to prevent it, Socrates? Unless again you will ask me from whom I learned it, or how I discovered it myself.
What a way you do this! If you speak something not correct, and it happens that because of the previous argument it can be so demonstrated, then you think it is necessary to hear some new different demonstrations, as though the previous ones are like a worn-out coat, and you should no longer wear it, if someone does not bring you a clean and undefiled proof. But I, saying good-bye, passing by your advanced runners of the argument, none the less shall ask again, from where did you learn how to know the advantageous, and who is the teacher? And all those things I asked you before I shall ask as one. For it is clear that in this you will find also you will have no way to demonstrate, either that by discovering it you know the advantageous, or by having learned it. But since you are fastidious, and no longer like the taste of this argument, let me say good-bye to this, whether or not you know the advantageous for the Athenians, but whether justice and advantage are the same or different. Why don't you demonstrate? If you want, ask me as I did you, or even explain it by your own argument.
But I do not know if I can explain it to you, Socrates.
But, joyful one, use me as assembly and democracy, for there it will be necessary for you to persuade each one, will it not?
Yes.
Then is the same person able to persuade one alone and many together about what he knows, just as a grammar school teacher can persuade one and many about writing?
Yes.
So again, will not the same person persuade one and many about arithmetic?
Yes.
And he will be the one who knows, the arithmetician.
Certainly.
Then too, as you are able to persuade many, is the same also so with one?
It is likely.
And it is clear that these things are what you know.
Yes.
So the only difference between an orator in the democracy and one in this kind of conversation is that one persuades a crowd of the same things which another does one at a time.
It may be.
Come now, since the same person appears to persuade many and one, practice on me and try to demonstrate how the just sometimes is not advantageous.
You are insolent, Socrates.
Now, at any rate, with this insolence I intend to persuade you of the opposite of what you are not willing to persuade me.
Speak then.
Only answer the questions.
No, but you speak yourself.
But what? Don't you especially want to be convinced?
By all means.
Then if you should say that these things are so, would you be especially convinced?
It seems I would.
Then answer, and if you don't hear from yourself that the just is advantageous, then you should not trust another speaking.
I won't, but let me answer, for I don't think I shall be harmed by it.
For you are prophetic. And tell me, do you say some of the just things are advantageous, but others are not?
Yes.
But what, are some of the beautiful and some not?
How are you asking this?
Did someone ever seem to you dishonorable, but practice justice?
Not to me.
But are all just things beautiful?
Yes.
And what of the beautiful things? Are they all good, or some and not others?
I think, Socrates, some of the beautiful things are bad.
And some of the dishonorable good?
Yes.
Then do you mean in such cases, when many in war rescuing a companion or relative receive injuries or died, but the ones not rescuing as needed went away healthy?
Definitely.
Then such a rescue, you say, is beautiful in respect to the attempt to save which was needed, and this is courage, is it not?
Yes.
But it is bad in respect to the deaths and wounding.
Yes.
So then is not the courage one thing, and the death another?
Certainly.
Then it is not in respect to the same thing, the rescuing the friends is beautiful and bad.
It appears not.
Then see if what is beautiful is also good, just as also here. For you admit it in respect to the courage the rescue is beautiful. So consider this same thing, the courage, is it good or bad? But consider this way, which would you choose for yourself, good or bad?
Good.
Then the very greatest things. And would you least accept losing such things?
For how could I not?
So what do you say about courage? At what price would you choose to lose it?
I would not even choose life as a coward.
Then cowardice seems to you to be the worst of evils.
To me.
Equal to dying, as is likely.
I say so.
Then most opposite to death and cowardice are life and courage.
Yes.
And would you especially choose the latter for you and the former least?
Yes.
Then is it that you believe these are best and the others worst?
Certainly.
Then you believe courage is among the best things, and death among the worst.
I do.
Then to rescue the friends in war, which is beautiful, in respect to the doing of good by the courage, do you name it beautiful?
I appear to.
But in respect to the doing of evil by the death, bad.
Yes.
Then in this it is just to name each of the actions, if really you call what produces evil bad, and what does good must be called good.
It seems to me.
So then also what does good beautiful, and what does bad dishonorable.
Yes.
Then saying the rescue in the war of the friends is beautiful, but bad, you mean nothing different than naming it good, but bad.
You seem to me to speak the truth, Socrates.
Then nothing of the beautiful, insofar as it is beautiful, is bad, and nothing of the dishonorable, insofar as it is dishonorable, is good.
It appears not.
Then still also consider this: whoever acts beautifully, does he not also do well?
Yes.
And are not the ones doing well happy?
For how could they not be?
Then are they happy because of gaining good things?
Especially.
And do they gain these things by doing well and acting beautifully?
Yes.
Then is doing well good?
But how could it not be?
Then is the success beautiful?
Yes.
Then it has appeared to us again that the beautiful and the good are the same.
It appears so.
Then what we find is beautiful, we shall also find is good from this argument.
By necessity.
But what, are good things advantageous or not?
Advantageous.
So do you remember what we agreed about the just?
I think the ones doing the just must be doing the beautiful.
So too, the ones doing the beautiful, the good.
Yes.
And the good things are advantageous.
Yes.
Then the just, Alcibiades, is advantageous.
It is likely.
So what then? Are you not the one speaking, and I the one asking?
I appear to be, as is likely.
So if anyone stands up advising either Athenians or Peparethians, thinking he knows the just and the unjust, and says that the just is sometimes bad, would you do anything other than laugh at him, since you also happen to be saying that the same things are just and advantageous?
But by the gods, Socrates, I do not know at all what I am saying, but it is really like feeling strange. For at one time during your questioning it seems to me different, and at another time something else.
Next this, friend, are you unaware what the feeling is?
Certainly.
So do you think, if someone should ask you, do you have 2 eyes or 3, and 2 hands or 4, or any other such thing, at one time would you answer different, and at another time something else, or always the same?
I am already having anxiety about myself, yet I think the same.
Then is it because you know? Is this the cause?
I think so.
Then about what you answer with unwilling contradictions, it is clear that you do not know about them.
It is likely.
Then too, about the just and unjust, and beautiful and dishonorable, and bad and good, and advantageous also, are you not saying you are going astray in your answers? Next, is it not clear that because of not knowing about them, you are going astray over these?
To me it is.
So then, is it also so, when someone does not know something, is it necessary for the soul to go astray about this?
For how could it not?
So what then? Do you know some way by which you could ascend up to heaven?
By God, not I.
And does your opinion about this go astray?
Of course not.
And do you know the cause, or shall I state it?
State it.
Because, friend, you do not think you know it, while not knowing it.
Again, what do you mean by this?
You look also in common. What is not known, and you know that it is not known. Do you go astray about these things? For example, about preparing a sauce, do you know for sure that you do not know how?
Certainly.
So then do you think about these things yourself? How is it useful to prepare it, and go astray? Or do you turn it over to one who knows?
Just so.
And what if you should be sailing on a ship? Then would you think whether it is useful to hold the tiller inward or outward, and in not knowing you would go astray? Or, turning it over to the pilot, would you keep silent?
Turn it over to the pilot.
Then you do not go astray about what you don't know, as long as you know that you don't know.
It is not likely.
So, are you aware that mistakes in practice are because of this ignorance, thinking one knows when one does not know?
Again, what do you mean by this?
is the time when we attempt to act, when we think we know what we are doing?
Yes.
And when people do not think they know, do they give it over to others?
Why not?
Then are they of the ones who do not know and erring in life because of turning them over to others?
Yes.
So who are the ones making mistakes? For they are not the ones who know.
Of course not.
And since it is neither the ones who know, nor the ones who do not know, knowing that they have not known it, are the ones left the ones who do not know, but think they know.
None but these.
Then this ignorance is a cause of evils, and the shameful kind of stupidity.
Yes.
Thus, when it is about the greatest things, then it is most harmful and shameful.
By far.
So what then? Can you mention anything greater than the just, and the beautiful, and the good, and the advantageous?
Of course not.
Then is it about these you say you go astray?
Yes.
But if you go astray, then is it clear from the previous that not only are you ignorant of the greatest things, but also, while not knowing them, you think you know?
I run the risk.
Then, alas, Alcibiades, what a misfortune you are suffering! I shrink from naming it, but nevertheless, since we are alone, let me speak. For you are living with stupidity, best one, to the extreme, as your argument also accuses you yourself. And because of this you dart into politics before being educated. And you are not the only one to have suffered this, but also many of the ones managing the affairs of state here, except a few, and perhaps your guardian, Pericles.
It is said, Socrates, he did not become wise by accident, but associated with many also wise, both Pythocleides and Anaxagoras. Even now at his age, he still is with Damon for this very purpose.
So what then? Did you ever know anyone wise who was unable to make someone else wise as himself? Just as the one who taught you writing was wise himself, and made you and the others whom he wanted to, did he not?
Yes.
Then also you who learned from that one will be able to make another wise,
Yes.
and both the harpist and the gymnastic trainer in the same way.
Certainly.
For doubtless a beautiful proof of knowing whatever one knows is this, when one can also point out another who is knowing.
It seems to me.
So what then? Can you say whom Pericles made wise, starting from one of his sons?
But what if the two sons of Pericles were foolish, Socrates?
But Cleinias, your brother.
But why would you say Cleinias, a mad person?
Then since Cleinias is mad, and the two sons of Pericles were foolish, what cause are we to attribute to you? Why did he allow you to be thus?
I think I am the cause for not paying attention.
But of the other Athenians, or the foreigners, slave or free, say who has cause to have become wiser because of being with Pericles, just as I can say because of Zeno, Pythagoras, son of Isolocus, and Callias, son of Alcibiades, of whom each has paid Zeno 100 minae, became wise and notable.
But by God, I cannot.